Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a single question that honestly defines the very fabric of our communities. And we're going to look at two totally different answers that shape the world we all live in.
So yeah, think about it for a sec. When things go wrong in our neighborhoods, who's supposed to step up? Is it the government with all its power and money? Or is it us, the people, the charities, the folks on the ground? The answer we land on, well, it changes everything.
All right, so let's start with our first answer. This one comes from a really powerful political idea that popped up in the UK, but has had echoes all over the world. It's a vision they called the Big Society.
So, the whole idea here is a pretty radical shift in power. It's all about moving away from what you might call big government doing everything and moving towards a big society where everyday citizens really take the reins.
And listen, this wasn't just some theory floating around. In the 2010s, it became the centerpiece of government policy in the UK. The pitch was simple. We're going to cut back on government spending, sure, but we're also going to hand more control directly to you in your local communities.
So how are they going to pull this off? Well, they had a whole 5-step plan. It's kind of like a domino effect, right? You push power down from the central government to local areas. That opens up space for volunteers and charities to step in and do more. And to help them out, you publish all this government data so they know what's really going on. It was a full-on strategy to kind of re-engineer how society works from the bottom up.
And this quote, man, it just sums up the entire mission perfectly. It's about taking the responsibility for fixing problems away from the government and putting it right into the hands of the community. But what does that actually mean when the rubber hits the road?
Well, that's where a huge question immediately came up. When the state steps back, are you actually empowering people, or are you just abandoning them? And this, right here, is the real heart of the whole debate. People started asking, wait a minute, is this really about empowering communities, or is it just a clever way for the government to step away from its duties, and, maybe more importantly, from paying for them?
See, the critics pointed out some pretty serious risks. If you cut central funding, yeah, maybe wealthier neighborhoods with lots of volunteers do just fine. But what about poorer areas? They could get left behind, making inequality even worse. And suddenly, public services like hospitals could be forced to compete like businesses. And that social safety net that's meant to catch everyone, well, it could start to unravel.
Okay, so that's the big society vision. But that's only half the story. There's a completely different answer to our big question. An approach that isn't about a smaller state at all, but about a stronger one.
With this vision, the whole playbook gets flipped on its head. The goal isn't to shrink the government, it's to build a really strong, reliable one that gives everyone a solid foundation to stand on. The community's job isn't to replace the state, but to get involved, make it better, and hold it accountable.
To really get this idea, you have to go back to 1950 Sweden and this amazing metaphor they used, the people's home. Just picture it. The whole country is like one big family. And the state's job is to provide a warm outer code of security for everyone. Things like good health care, education, a safe place to live, for every single person.
In the strong society model, the state has a non-negotiable job. It has to go to war against these 5 giants. Fighting poverty, ignorance, disease, bad housing, and unemployment isn't just a nice idea. It's the primary duty of the government. That's the foundation you build everything else on. So you're probably asking, okay, so where does the community fit in? Well, their role isn't to step in and run the schools or the hospitals. Instead, the community becomes this vibrant place for learning, for democratic debate, for people to get together and make sure the state is actually doing its job right. It's a partnership.
And you can literally see the result of this partnership in the numbers. It's kind of stunning, actually. When people trust that the state is a reliable partner, they show up. Just look at the voter turnout in Sweden, a whopping 86%. It's because people believe that their voice actually matters in guiding a state that they see as being on their side.
Okay, so we've looked at these two powerful competing visions. Let's do a little head-to-head comparison and see how they really stack up against each other.
This table just lays it all out so clearly. On one side, you've got the big society. It's all about a small state, having volunteers replace state functions, and aiming for community self-reliance. On the other side, you have the strong society. It's about a strong state that guarantees welfare, citizens participating to strengthen it, and building the whole nation together. Two completely different worlds.
So after this whole tale of two visions, What's the big takeaway for us, right here, right now?
I think this quote just hits the nail on the head. At the end of the day, what really matters isn't how fast things are changing in our communities. It's about the direction we're all headed in. Are we moving toward more state responsibility or less? Towards self-reliance or towards collective security?
And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. From now on, whenever you hear a debate about public services, or a new call for volunteers, or a plan for your local area, you can ask a really sharp question. Are we building a big society here, or are we building a strong one? Because the direction we choose, that defines the future for all of us.